Hello everyone, welcome. Welcome to this special session on RBI Grade B 2023 preparation strategy. As all of you know that the RBI Grade B 2023 mini notification has come out, and in that they have disclosed the exam dates, the vacancies. The detailed notification is due in another 1 week or so. But now that the dates are out and we know that the exam is happening very soon, right? So the burning question in every student's mind at this point is, how do we utilize this time, so less time and so much to do? How do we utilize this time in the best manner possible, right? And rightly so, because RBI Grade B is a big exam, not only from the perspective of that it's an important exam, it's a very coveted job, right? But from also the perspective that the nature of the exam is very different from many other exams that we normally take, right? So there is a Phase-1 which is directed towards aptitude, general awareness. There is a Phase-2 which is directed towards descriptive writing and technical stuff like ESI, finance and management. Right. So we'll talk about them, but because it's such a varied exam, so things tend to become hodgepodge if we don't plan it well, because there is so much to do. So what to study, how much time we are going to give to each section or subsection, when to take the mocks, Phase-1 mocks, when to take Phase-2 mocks, when to start, right? Then descriptive, as I told you, so important part. I mean, descriptive is 2/3 of the whole Phase-2. So how much writing is necessary? How much time should I give to descriptive writing? And also, some of you have been asking that whether Meritshine is planning an RBI Grade B fast-paced program this year. So we will share with you, the ideas that we have in our mind, and talk about what we are thinking, right? And about the details of the program, you'll come to know in a day or two. If you're watching this lecture later on, you will also get the link of the program in the pinned comment. Okay, right. So let's start off. Let's start off first identifying the components of the exam. So the components of the exam, my dear friends, are the following. Let's see. First, Phase-1. So Phase-1, which is bound to happen in 9 weeks. If you have seen in the last slide, I had written 9 weeks to Phase-1, 12 weeks to Phase-2. So 9 weeks to Phase-1, what are we expecting in Phase-1? Quant and DI, English, reasoning, and general awareness. I'm not going into the marks distribution and everything. You already know it. If you are preparing or you have thought about preparing for RBI Grade B, you already know it, right? But Phase-1 has these 4 components. Now, Phase-2, English descriptive, economics and social issues, and management and finance. These are the 3 sections. Normally, ESI is the paper 1, English descriptive paper 2, and management finance paper 3. Now, before we move on to giving you a study plan, a guide to plan your studies in such a way so that your time is utilized in the most optimum manner, let me tell you some assumptions that I have taken for creating that study plan for you, for creating that guide for you. The first option, the assumption that I have taken is that you are not much initiated. You have started preparation recently. So the study plan would focus towards the whole syllabus of Phase-1 as well as Phase-2. Second, on an average, I have assumed minimum 40 to 45 hours of study per week. Okay, per week, 40 to 45 hours of study, because below that, it's very difficult. It's an exam having a vast syllabus, right? So 6 to 7 hours per day study is what I have assumed, which you'll have to manage. Third, first 2 weeks from now on, we'll be focusing on Phase-1 only, right? Okay. Now, definitely, if someone has already started, then he or she and has progressed a lot and is only in the revision stage, obviously, that 6-7 hours, they can cut it down to 4-5 hours. But at least that much is necessary because you'll have to do stuff, right? Now, starting with the Phase-1, quant English reasoning. So the phase 1 has been divided into two parts. The quant English reasoning, 120 marks, and 80 marks of general awareness for strategy perspective, for the study plan perspective, right? So what are you supposed to do if you're starting from today? First, the first 2 weeks, as I told you, that we'll be focusing more on phase 1. Now, what is the idea behind it? First of all, I have seen over the years that a lot of good students who have been preparing very sincerely for phase 2, they do not take phase 1 sincerely. They think because, many of them are already working in bank or working somewhere, and they think that phase 1 is something that we have already done when we had, cracked the exam of a bank and the other exams to get the current job. But what happens is that even if you have prepared for aptitude, general awareness, let's say 1 year, 2 year back, right? But in the subsequent 2 years, you are out of practice, and therefore you might not be as efficient as you were 2 years back, right? So therefore, I would not want any one of you to suffer the loss of not clearing phase 1 just because you thought that you might be able to clear phase 1 because you have cleared similar exam earlier. The point here is that if you do not clear phase 1, then the phase 2 would never occur, right? So though phase 2 is something that you should be prepared the best till the phase 2 exam, but you should not ignore phase 1 and its importance, right? So why the first 2 weeks to phase 1? Because then we will initiate ourselves strongly in the right direction for phase 1 so that we ensure that we do not miss on phase 1. So the first 2 weeks on quant English reasoning, what we'll do is do concepts across the areas of quant English reasoning in the next 2 weeks. 2 concepts every day. Let's say one day you did a percentage concept from quant, and the same day you did, let's say, syllogism concept from reasoning. Okay, so 2 concepts a day. Then next day you did, let's say, grammar, some part of the grammar concepts from English, and you did, let's say, critical reasoning, a major part from reasoning. So this way you mix and match for the first 2 weeks and be done with at least 25 to 30 broad concepts from these 3 areas. Now, before I move further, I'll also want to tell you one thing. I have been looking across the board for many people who are guiding for this exam, but I found that there is so much mismanagement and misinformation flowing. The students can get confused. So a lot of people I saw telling that because GA is 80 marks out of 200, only prepare for GA, forget about quant English reasoning, just clear the cutoff in quant English reasoning. It's a very bad advice. It's I'll not be politically correct here because that's not the way it works. Anyone who has taken RBI Grade B would know that scoring very high in general awareness in RBI Grade B is difficult, right? So obviously we should not be ignoring GA, and in the next slide I'll be talking about what to do in GA and how much time you should give it to it. But we should never ignore these 3 sections also, because these 3 sections are scoring. As a matter of fact, even last year when our students cleared phase 1, they had a majority of the score from these 3 sections. Okay, and obviously GA also played a role in their clearing phase 1, but just to the extent of maybe 20 marks, 25 marks. But quant English reasoning can give you another 60 marks or so, right? So this is something that you should remember, that we'll have to do all the 4 subsections. No, focusing only on one section. Now, next 4 weeks, what you should do? First 2 weeks, concepts, 2 concepts a day. And each one of these concepts would take you 3 to 4 hours with the practice question. We'll talk about the practice. Then another one. So for the next 4 weeks, like 28 days from there onwards, 1 concept every day. So what happens? 25 to 30 concepts in the first 2 weeks, then another 25 to 30 concepts. So overall 50 concepts or so. If we divide quant, reasoning, English, there would be broadly around 60 to 70 concepts. So you're already done with around 80% of the syllabus from the quant, English, reasoning perspective. While you are in the class, or if you're doing it from the class, or if you're studying it from a book, make some pointer notes of the concepts while attending lectures, or if you are doing from the book, right? Do practice questions also after that. Once you have, let's say you have learned from anywhere, from anyone's lecture or from a particular book's chapter, then do some practice question on the concept that you have learned the same day only. That's why I said it will take around 3 to 4 hours. Then comes the last 3 weeks. So 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 9 weeks total. So the last 3 weeks, you start taking mocks alternate day. So you are done with 2 plus 4, 6 weeks, around 50 concepts. Then the next 3 weeks, you start taking mocks alternate day. And if you're taking mocks, one thing should be obvious to you, and that is that you have to analyze the mocks. Now, how do you analyze the mocks? We have been talking about analysis of mocks in many sessions. You can go back to those sessions and refer there. But on a whole, just to summarize, what you need to do is that you need to be directed towards, focus towards increasing your scores in every subsequent mock. How do you do that? You take a mock within time limit, then you try out the questions that you could not do, or you left unattempted, or you did wrong. And after you have tried it for the second time, you see that the number of questions you could have done, but you could not do inside the time limit, right? Then go through the solution. So this whole thing gives you an idea that what was your capability score in that particular mock and how much you scored actually, right? And in the next paper, therefore, it would help you to strategize better so that you get better marks, okay? Right, so that's analysis. Also, in the last 3 weeks, I told you to make notes, na? So you revise from notes, and if you have some access to lectures, you have taken a course, or the books that you are studying from, right? Then go to that part of the book or those lectures if you need something specific, or else the revision should happen from your notes, right? And obviously do the remaining concepts that are left, those 10-15 concepts. Okay. Now coming to the time that you should be investing. First 2 weeks, 32 to 36 hours weekly to phase 1 quant English reasoning. 32 to 36 hours meaning around 5 hours or so every day, right? 4 to 5 hours every day. Next 4 weeks, 16 to 18 hours weekly. Because next 4 weeks, we have halved the content that we are going to do, right? And last 3 weeks, again 16 to 18 hours. But at this point, around 10 hours would go into mock taking and analysis. Okay. 8 hours would go into mock taking and analysis, and the rest 8 hours would go into your revision plus the new lectures that on the new concepts that you would do, right? All of this stuff. Clear? Okay. So that's quant English reasoning, how you would organize your preparation in these 3 areas. Now, general awareness. See, the first week in general awareness, go through the union budget and the economic survey. Now, these two are the two of the most important areas in which from which RBI asks questions, in which your ability to understand the points in these areas would also help you in phase 2 too, right? Especially in ESI and finance. Okay, so go through union budget and economic survey, and then next 5 weeks use monthly PDFs for revision. So if you have access to monthly PDFs, you must have taken some test series, or for that matter, for something for general awareness. So use those monthly PDFs and they give you monthly PDFs. Use those monthly PDFs for revision or for studying general awareness. So at this point, if don't think about whether you have studied the whole year or not, because there will be many people who would be saying that I have studied the whole year. Okay, they have done it, but you couldn't do it. Leave it. I think if you have done it, it's good that you have done it. But then you would understand the general awareness is so fickle that even if you have done it for the whole year, you do not remember anything and everything. Therefore, revision is important. So for you also, monthly revision from monthly PDFs or the notes that you have made while you have read daily, studied daily would be important. Okay. So next 5 weeks, Now, while revising, you make summary of summary notes so that at the ending stages before the exam, you can consult them. You see, all of us know that general awareness is vast because there is no limit to it, right? But then there also we need to pick and choose while revising. Because we cannot, practically, we cannot go through everything that has happened for the last 365 days or so, right? So, what would you need is that if you have made your own notes while you are preparing for the full year, then make summary notes of that too while you are revising from your own notes. And if you are referring to monthly PDFs, they are a succinct form of what has happened that month. Make summary notes from there. Okay, right. Either way, you should have a brief ready for you to refer to before the, for the last 3 days to exam, kind of. Take quizzes and tests from multiple sources. That would be more helpful for you because, see, when you take quizzes and tests, it's not an aptitude test or a test of ability, general awareness. It's a test of your knowledge, right? So, when it's not an ability test, so therefore, if you know it, then only you'll be able to answer it. But what would happen when you take a lot of tests? You are getting, exposure to a lot of ways the questions can come to you from different areas. And that exposure would make you more experienced in terms of anticipating questions or the kind of questions that you would be facing in the actual exam. Okay, right. So, take quizzes from multiple sources. Obviously, you will be taking mocks in the last 3 weeks. There, general awareness will also be a part, right? But beyond that, also you should take quizzes and tests. The last 3 weeks, see, first week, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, plus 3 weeks, 9 weeks. You see, there, as I told you, you will take the mock questions and know the mock questions thoroughly, because if you are taking 10, let's say, tests or 8 tests of phase 1, mock tests of phase 1, that would be around 640 questions. So 600, 700 questions from different areas, that would also help you in revising, isn't it? Also, in the last 2 weeks, revise from your notes and yearly PDFs. Okay, last 2 weeks, revise from your notes and yearly PDFs, because at the end, they would give you, your test series or whichever general awareness material you're referring to. They would give you a compact PDF for the whole year, right? You can revise from there too. Time. First 6 weeks, 5 to 6 hours weekly, right? When I say, notes, you should not be wasting a lot of time in your notes. You just scribble down the important parts that you think while you are studying only. So it shouldn't be taking extra another 2-3 hours. Okay. So first 6 weeks, first week plus 5 weeks, 5 to 6 hours weekly. So 1 hour daily would be more than enough for this. Then the last 3 weeks, 10 to 12 hours weekly. That is 2 hours daily. Okay. And the last 3 days should be some extra focus on revision. Time, you might take the 10-12 hours only, but you see, yearly PDFs revision, but revision from your notes. Okay, all that stuff you can do in the last 3 days again and again. Okay, because when you do things of general awareness again and again, you tend to remember them more. Next comes phase 2. So this was phase 1. What do you need to do? Now phase 2. First, we'll start with English Descriptive. Paper 2 normally in the phase 2 till last year. Now, English Descriptive, as you know, is a 100 marks paper. 100 marks paper, and there normally are 3 activities. We have seen normally essays, RCs, and Pressy. Okay, these 3 activities to come in English Descriptive. So, first of all, what you need to do is understand how to write each activity and how to evaluate yourself. Because, you see, everything said and done, the most important part of descriptive writing is to know that where you are going wrong and improving on that the next time, right? So, first of all, for that, you should have the basic parameters on which to evaluate your essays and Pressy and RCs. Okay, so if you have access to someone or some material which would give you an idea of those parameters, you should go through that and understand it thoroughly, and then move on to practice and evaluate yourself. Okay. Achha, why evaluating yourself is important? Because see, when, let's say for example, if you submit an essay, let's say I tell you that, okay, I am going to evaluate one essay of yours, give it to us, right? So to do it properly for, let's say, 100 students, I would take at least 5-6 days time to do justice to it. If I want to properly evaluate it and give the right feedback to you, if I want to do it just to show that evaluation is being done, then nothing. I will not take any time. But if I need to give you the right evaluation that would help you, then I will take that 5 to 6 days minimum, right? So over a period of time, if a teacher himself or herself evaluates, would be able to evaluate only 2 of your writing activities properly, right? But you will be writing at least 15, 20 activities or maybe more. So what would happen to them? If each activity does not help you improve in your next activity, then those 20, 25 activities would not help you to the fullest extent. Yes or no? Right? So this is where your self-evaluation comes. So yes, if you get the opportunity to get it evaluated from an expert or a teacher, do it, but don't bank on it only because that would be only 1 or 2 essays. The major improvement would come from your self-evaluation, and for that you need to know the parameters on which to judge your writing objectively in all these 3 areas. And even for the finance management and ESI areas also, but the base is English descriptive. Now, so why did I take English descriptive first? Because 50% of ESI, 50% of FNM is descriptive, right? So English descriptive would prepare the base, and on that you would build on the technical descriptive, right? So before phase 1, what you need to do is 2 to 3 writing activities every week. Okay. So alternate day writing activity. One day you sit for, let's say, essay and RC. Then next day next alternate day you sit for essay and Prezi. Then Prezi and RC this way, right? Okay. So till phase 1, this one. After phase 1, writing activity every day. Again, you can take those 2 to 2 kind of writing activities every day and do it. So that would give you adequate practice, because writing is a lot about your own practice. Listening to, let's say, me or any other person who is teaching you descriptive would help you to understand the concept, how to write. But you would become a better writer only when you write. Okay, is it clear? Now, each writing activity should have at least 2 tasks, as I already told you, and it would take around 1 to 1.5 hours with evaluation, with your self-evaluation. So writing would take you 40 minutes or so. For writing, you would give that much time only, which you get actually in paper, but 40-45 minutes for 2 activities at the max. But another for 30 minutes or so would be required to evaluate it properly and to understand what you have not done right. Okay. Also, in writing, one thing that I would suggest is that if you have taken a topic which has current data or has a lot of data to it, and just before writing you are going through the data on Google and then you are writing, that's not the right way to practice writing. See, while you are writing, data should come to you as you are building narration on that particular topic. Looking at the data just before writing would give you a false sense of security in writing. So when you would have a topic which is unknown to you in the exam, you will not be able to give data on that. So what I suggest is that anything that you need to see regarding that particular topic, see it one day prior to writing on that, right? Okay. Now, time. Before phase 1, 3 to 4 hours weekly, right? And after phase 1, 6 to 8 hours weekly. That's English descriptive for you. You see, 1/3 is English descriptive in phase 2. But does that mean you need to give 1/3 time? No, right? And that's why this class is so important. This session is so important. Here I am giving you the, optimum time that is necessary for you to perform best in each one of these sections, right? But then obviously, one particular topic would take more time, one particular topic would take less time. But this is the minimum time that you should be giving for practice. Okay. Next, ESI. Economics and social issues, vast syllabus. If you see core topics, 30 plus core topics. But if we look at the previous year's papers and for the past 2-3 years also, the focus areas from where questions occur is not more than 8 to 10, right? And the nature of the questions in ESI is majorly current. Okay, 70 to 80% current focus and 20 to 30% static focused. Okay, so what do you do? How do you know these 8 to 10 topics? In both ESI and FNM, previous year, we had done an analysis session of what kind of questions and from which areas has come in the past 2-3 years, right? So I'll give the link of that lecture in the description. You can refer to that and you will know that these are the areas from where RBI mostly asked questions or had asked questions in the past 2-3 years. Okay. Now, coming back to before phase 1, what should you do in ESI? First, understand the core concepts. Now, though the static part of ESI is less when it comes to the actual paper, but economics concepts and the social issues, basic concepts, static concepts, they are important because if you don't understand them, you will not be able to build your current affairs or current knowledge on those topics, right? So understand those core concepts before phase 1 and make point-wise summary notes. Actually, these core concepts and would be also very important in your descriptive answers. You see, a lot of times in descriptive answers, you might not get the relevant current data. It might not strike to you. So at that point of time, what you necessarily need to do is to make the examiner understand your understanding on that topic. What do you know on that topic, right? How do you analyze that particular concept? Okay, and for that, the core concepts would be very important. Okay, so remember always in ESI as well as technical other descriptive, if you can give some data which is current, it's okay, but it's not mandatory. What is important is your ability to frame an answer which clearly explains what has been explains the concept behind what has been asked in the question. Okay, so that is more important. For that, data helps. But if you don't get relevant data, because sometimes it does not strike you, a lot of times it does not strike you, so then also you should be able to write a good answer. Okay. Next, understand writing activity by going through 4 to 5 answers from majorly static and budget and economic survey areas. Now, you remember I told you in the phase 1 GA that you should be doing the budget and economic survey in the first 1 or 2 weeks only. So that is also going to help you in ESI as well as finance. Okay. So for ESI specifically, 4 to 5 topics is descriptive answer. You should try and write and evaluate them before phase 1. Right? After phase 1, obviously we will do more, but just to initiate yourself into the world of descriptive writing of ESI, you should be doing it. Now, obviously, that should come after you have done at least 4 or 5 practice sessions of descriptive writing, English descriptive writing. Because one thing needs to be understood very clearly. English descriptive writing would set the tone of how to write effectively, efficiently, with the maximum impact. And based on that, you should be writing your, modifying your answers of ESI and FNM to give maximum impact in that. After phase 1, what you need to do is revise from the notes, okay? Then do the remaining static if it is, some part of static concept-based economics and social issues are remaining. Do them. More importantly, do the current news on ESI topics. Now, for that, you can take help of PDFs, you can take help of, compendiums, right? So, current news on the ESI topics. And by then, you should also have known about, because you are already studying it for 1 month now, you would also know about the major important areas from the exam perspective as well as from the subjects perspective too. Write every day, right? For ESI, try and write every day. If not every day, at least 5 times a week. Okay. After phase 1. So, at least 15 writing activities you should be doing in ESI. And as I told you in English descriptive also, I'll tell you here also, don't read on the topic before writing it. Now, time. Before phase 1, 6 to 8 hours weekly After phase 1, 13 to 14 hours weekly. Okay, right? Finance and management. The last thing that we need to do, right? 7 to 8 topics of management and 14 to 15 topics of finance is what the overall syllabus of these two areas are. Core concepts, right? When I say 7 to 8 topics of management, let's say, for example, motivation, organization behavior, ethics, broad topics. Obviously, there are many subtopics inside it. Same for finance also. Okay. Now, before phase 1, what you should do? Again, if you have to understand which topic is more important or have been, more relevant from the perspective of the exam, more number of questions have come, especially in finance that we have already discussed in our previous year session. I'll give the link in the description. You can go through it. Now, before phase 1, what you need to do is understand the core concepts. Focus more on the static ones. See, management is full static. Finance is part static, part current. Questions from the question perspective. But again, just like ESI, here you'll have to have an understanding of the static part or the conceptual part first, and then only you will be able to answer the questions on current or understand current on those issues. Make point-wise summary notes while you are studying. Understand the writing activity. The next step is understand the writing activity. Because again, in FNM also 50% is writing, descriptive writing. So understand the writing activity by going through 4 to 5 answers of finance and management. Just like what we did in ESI, the same thing we will do for FNM also before phase 1. And after phase 1, what you should do, revise from the notes that you had made before phase 1. If there are some more lectures on concepts or core concepts, do them, right? Do current news on finance topics. The finance and ESI current news, there would be intersection also. So if you do one, there would be cases where you would be doing the other one too at the same time. So there will be some amount of time saving there, intersection of time. And writing activity, alternate day. One day management, one day finance. One day management, one day finance. So at least 2 management writing activity, 2 to 3 management writing activity every week after phase 1 and 2 to 3 of finance after phase 1. Before phase 1, how much time you should give to this section? 10 to 12 hours. Achha, when I say ESI and finance and management, their time starts after 2 weeks. Huh? From 2 weeks from now onwards is fully focused towards what? Phase 1. And to some amount, GA, general awareness and the whole phase 1. Matlab, quant English reasoning plus general awareness. Phase 1 for the next 2 weeks. And from then onwards, if you have more time, you can obviously start ESI, finance and management, static and conceptual part also from now onward. But if you are limited on time, then phase 1, 2 weeks, and then everything. The way I have given you, if you would see that the total time would not exceed 40 to 44 hours. Right. So before phase 1, 10 to 12 hours weekly. After phase 1, 14 to 16 hours weekly. Okay. Right. So this is how you should divide your time in finance and management section. Okay. Now, the final thing that's remaining today is when to start taking phase 2 mocks. Phase 1 mock, I have already told you. 3 weeks to the exam, you should start your phase 1 mocks. Right. Now, what about phase 2 mocks? No mocks till phase 1. If you want to try your hand in one of the mocks, you can take it just now and see where you stand. Right. That you can do. 1 or 2 odd mocks is okay, but regularly no mocks till phase 1. After phase 1, 3 mocks every week with a full analysis. Now, what do we mean by full analysis? These are knowledge-based mocks. But you would have realized by now, if you have gone through RBI Grade B paper, even there, the technical knowledge-based stuff also comes in a way where you'll have to use your own logic to solve the answers. Right. I'm talking about the objective part, not talking about the descriptive part, the objective part also. So, for example, in management, what would they do? Let's say they are asking on nudge theory. So they would give you a case, right? A small case, and would ask you that what does this particular person have done to his junior to get the work done, right? So if you have an understanding of that particular concept, then only you will be able to answer the question. That is one. But you will have to also use your logic at that point of time. So only knowledge directly, they would never ask that who gave nudge theory. No, they would not ask that. But they would ask questions based on cases, questions based on stories, right? And then you'll have to apply your mind and concepts and your logic to answer that, right? So in that kind of scenario, when you take a mock and encounter such kind of questions, when you go through the solution of those kind of questions, then you also realize and you learn, and your knowledge enhances, right? And it makes you more, more prepared for the upcoming exam. Okay. And always remember, there is no written rule that you should be fully prepared to take a mock. No, right? See, mock is also part of your preparation. Okay. So to become fully prepared, you also need to take mocks. Obviously, for the first day, we cannot take mocks because that would be useless, fruitless, right? But then after a time, when you have generated enough amount of knowledge, concepts, after that you should start taking mocks, and that's why the different timelines when to start taking mocks for phase 1 and phase 2. So if you look at the mocks, how much time mocks will take? After phase 1, if you see 3 mocks every week, so total time would be not more than 12 hours a week. Okay. Now, finally, before ending today, any Meritshine program, as many of you had asked. So, my dear friends, we are planning something. It would not be, a complete RBI Grade B package kind of stuff. But yes, phase 1 is something that we are actively considering. English Descriptive is something that we are actively considering because, students find a lot of problem in English Descriptive, and English Descriptive later on helps you in the other descriptive also. And some part of technical phase 2 might also be covered. So the detail of the program we will announce in a day or two. And after the program is announced, I will also give the link to the program page in the pinned comment of this lecture too. Right? So that would be all for today. All the best. Thank you very much.